Hello, this is Shakhar Pelled, freelance translator since 1985, sharing with you some insights about the profession, the art, and the industry. And today I would like to continue with the topic of the way in which the neglect of context within TM, and this is a structural problem because the whole idea of a TM is to cut the text into segments that takes them out of context, and the translator often has to guess at the context from the segments, looking at the segments. But this is not always possible, and some of this is problematic, and I will look at it here. For example, is the assumption that all languages are alike. For example, failure in sentence construction. How many languages would have the noun before the adjective? So in English, you can have a construction idle for 5 minutes, but not all languages would have that. Some languages would have you'd have to have the 5 minutes before the idle for. And then, because it's hanging there in the air, the whole construction becomes impossible in other languages. It's like the segmentation only takes into account the English, but it doesn't take into account the fact that other languages are different. For example, active in the last, say, hour, okay? So I think that was the example I wanted to give from the outset. Okay, active in the last hour, okay? So in Hebrew, for example, you would say active in the hour last, בשעה האחרונה. So here the hour is not even given. So what would you translate? Active in the leave open space last. So that's a variable there. So you see how it goes. The whole thing about segmentation in CAT creates problems because it takes things out of context, and the more the engineers and the software people want to save on the variables, that means they want to keep it as constant as possible. So that's why they left it active in the last. So then they can say minute, hour, day, whatever. In fact, they detract from the quality of the target translation, because in other languages, for example, Hebrew is a gendered language. In addition to the fact that the noun would come before the adjective. So how would you say, if it's a day, it's in the masculine, but if it's an hour, it's in the feminine. And so you see, the whole approach to the TM here is contextless. The CAT is structurally contextless and ultimately creates situations in which the translator is forced into a very narrow path that is not conducive to good quality, and sometimes even gives rise to incomprehensible things. So, problem.